Welcome back to the Music Marketing Podcast. Today, we're actually talking to one of our followers who's a recording artist himself called Ben Union. Hey, Ben.
Yo, what's up?
So we decided that we were actually going to start doing a series where we talk to someone that follows us on Instagram and answer any questions they have, because there's only so much we can do in the comments and in DMs, and we can't really get that personal. And before doing this, if you guys want to do this, make sure to hit us up on Instagram, follow us at Burstimo, and we're going to post a picture within the next few weeks, which you can comment on to potentially do a call like this. So yeah, great to finally meet you, Ben. You've been following us for quite a while.
Yeah, it's probably been around 5 or 6 months now. So
nice.
Yeah.
So what, you probably followed us at like 1,000 followers or something.
Yeah, you know, I do what I can. I tell everybody about it. I tell everybody about two outlets. I tell them about Ari Hurst. I don't know if you guys know who Ari is.
Yeah,
his book is great. I don't know if you like him or not, but he's helped me immensely. But then Burstimo too. So I'm a big fan.
Cool, thanks.
Nice.
Thank you. So yeah, you say you listen to, does he have a podcast, or I know he has a blog?
It's a blog, and then I just follow his socials, and I actually purchased his course a while ago about how to become a successful touring artist in the new music business, and so he's got a lot of solid content as well, but you guys are my two main.
Nice.
Cool, thank you. Do you have like a few questions that you have planned to ask us, first of all?
Yes, I have a list of questions,
cool.
And I kind of touched on the first one, but how you guys kind of started, but really it was kind of to piggyback off of that. Who are you guys looking to specifically? Maybe some specific sources. Where are you getting your information? It's obviously working because the proof is in the pudding. In your own content and everything that you post, the numbers you're getting, the interaction, engagement. But what are you guys looking at? Maybe a couple of resources or things.
Yeah, like primarily marketing companies and marketing resources. So my background and Maddie's background is primarily in traditional promotion for artists. And we found that just there isn't enough modern marketing techniques being applied to the music industry. So we look at all sorts of podcasts, YouTube courses, and we find things that apply to the music industry. Of course, if it works for us and it helps us kind of grow our own company, then it works. But there's a lot out there that really works well for artists. And I think like before we even started, no one was really doing Facebook ads, Instagram ads for artists, or even just thinking about content in a different way. And I think music is so versatile in what you can put it into. Like there's so many brands out there, for example, trying to run ads, trying to do influencer marketing campaigns, and just trying to get their new drinks product, their new clothing line to get people to buy. And with music, all you've got to do is get people to listen. Like how hard can that be? And I think people are very kind of stuck in their ways. So we always go through podcasts. Like you listen to a lot of marketing podcasts and things as well.
I also listen to stuff like Social Chain. They're a social media marketing agency. They have a podcast. It's called The Social Chain, I'm pretty sure. And they basically talk about the changes in social media, what's happening in that time. And they speak to different people in the industry. They speak to different people in all industries that work in social media. So they've even spoken to someone at Psycho, the digital marketing manager, and try and make each industry discuss their social media. And from that, we've learned kind of what I've learned. I don't know, do you listen to podcasts much?
I listen to a lot of podcasts, audiobooks as well.
You get a lot of your things from audiobooks.
Yeah, like listening to like the for audiobooks, the Blue Ocean Strategy. And what that is basically looking at like, if everyone's over here, then you should be over here, and don't try and be in this like crowded market. And I think that applies a lot to our followers on Instagram and subscribers, where they expect to hear the same thing. And actually our strategy is say, okay, cool, everyone's competing for radio, everyone's competing for Spotify official playlists. Why don't you go and have a look and see where else people aren't competing for? And it's amazing. When we started doing influencer marketing, the influencers hadn't been contacted by a single musician.
Yeah, that was
before.
crazy for us. We've recently been speaking to some influencers that are like people that we watch on YouTube that are some of the biggest on YouTube.
Yeah.
And they were surprised that we were reaching out with music, and they were kind of excited.
Yeah.
And their prices were lower for us and for musicians because they said it was so easy to integrate.
Yeah.
Whereas with a brand, obviously, they have to, it's basically a paid ad where they have to hold up the product, talk about it.
Yeah.
Whereas with music, it's so easy to integrate.
Yeah.
So they said, oh, okay, it's a cheaper price. And that, for me, is mind-blowing that they haven't heard from even the labels at that point.
Yeah.
That they can just easily pay for that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think we take a lot from marketing experts in general, but I do find quite a lot we end up talking about stuff and then we just come up with random ideas, and I'm actually not sure who may have spoken about them or if anyone has spoken about them because they're quite specific to music. But
the next book I'm gonna read is called Nobody Wants to Read Your Shit, and it's genuinely a book on Amazon, and I think, I haven't read it yet, but I think it's going to be about like copy and understanding that like nobody cares about you. Like you're a brand, you're an artist, nobody cares, and you need to find a way to get them to care.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to reading that one as well. So that's my next resource that I'm going
I think that's the same with everyone. No one gave a shit about us at the beginning.
No.
Like, no one
And there'll
cared.
still be millions out there that still don't.
Yeah, and we obviously still get hate, like we get so much hate. But at the beginning, we got so many people being like, who are you to tell me what to do when you only have 1,000 followers? Who are you to tell me what to do when you've never written a song before in your life? And it's hard to sort of fight back. And as an artist, it's probably the same. It depends on your content strategy. But if you're doing content where you're sort of trying to be a bit motivational or something, people are like, who are you to tell me? And it is a difficult kind of area to be in. But we found like the more we push it out, we end up with the followers we want as well. And that should be the same for musicians. If you create content that you like doing and it's for your target audience, you'll get your target audience rather than people that are there just to follow and leave abuse.
Yeah.
Because if you create content that doesn't really fit your personality, your music, your style, you'll end up just getting so many people you really dislike as followers, and then you're a little bit stuck in that field. I feel like we completely went off topic on that.
I hope that answered the question.
It does. I'd listen to you guys all day. I mean, there's so many things that you could piggyback off of on that, but very cool.
We're ready for the next question.
The next question would be, I'm trying to see how this would lay out, but the best way to define one's audience. Briefly, I know you have a lot of videos on this, but what's like the best way to define your audience? Is it data that you're looking at on the back side of ads, or are you just following the data?
It's funny you ask this, and because just before we went live, I said to Maddie that like I had a realization that like artists should often try and please everyone, and most of the time, most of the accounts I follow, they're very extreme with their views.
Yeah.
They have a view and they don't care if people don't agree, but the reason I thought of this was I tried to think of how an artist could get someone to share their story. Like, we get shares on our stories, not a lot, but people do share them. And why do you share them? And I shared a story, I'm really into football or soccer, and I shared a story with a friend that agreed with my view on soccer.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to be backed up. And it was a very minority view. It was like most people are against it. And I shared it for that reason, and I think artists should be the same. They should not try to please everyone, not try to get the biggest audience possible, but try and find out what your views are, find out what you stand for, and let the audience find you by that kind of natural progression. And just allow people to naturally share it.
Yeah, we find that we basically know our audience more by the engagement, but also the data. Like, if you look at when we look at our YouTube stats, majority of our audience are male.
Yeah.
So if we
by like 95%.
Yeah, so when we're talking about certain things like, so for example, whenever I talk about influencers, I always use the example of makeup artists, and I need to stop doing that because I feel like it's probably not relevant to our audience as much because they are majority male. But we've also found from the information and the stats that our videos, when we talk about the earlier stages in your career, do better. So that proves that our audience are more artists that haven't maybe released yet or are in the first stages of their career. And I think it's the same for artists. You can tell by the content you're putting out, by like experimenting with it a little bit, who your audience really are. So you could put some content out which is a bit more motivational and you might get amazing response, but then you might put out a bit of content where you're talking about your track and you're kind of being a bit more emotional and down to earth, and you might not get great reaction. And you can be able to tell by the engagement who that audience actually is. And we can tell our audience best when we have a very, very engaged post. So basically at the moment we just posted a post saying that we've got 10K followers. Whoop. And we got loads and loads and loads of comments. Majority are male. Majority are probably, I don't know, teenagers to mid-30s. And it's a range in genre. So from those posts, we can literally just like look at all the accounts and see who they are. And I think artists can do that too, because I think quite often you reply to your comments, you never actually look at the profiles. You're just sort of like, oh, thank you. And that's about it.
And
so it's worth looking at.
You asked about ads as well in terms of finding your audience there and whether that's an option. There's loads of tutorials on this, but not many people know about it. And people think that when you're trying to find your audience, you can go to the start a campaign and start an ad campaign and it starts to suggest things. You put like one keyword in. Actually, there's a tool called the Audience Insights tool, which not many artists know about. And what you can do on there, I haven't filmed it yet, but I'm due to do a full tutorial on this. And you can put in, say you're similar to Drake. You put in Drake, click it, and it drops down all of the similar. So all of Drake's fans also follow these artists. And then you click them and it says these fans also follow these artists. And it breaks it down and breaks it down and breaks it down into various categories. It gives you all the demographics. And it also starts to show interests. So you find that like all Drake fans happen to like LA Lakers, and that's like a big thing. So you start to explore that. And then you literally get like a pen and paper and write down all of these targets where you try and find your niche. And then once you've got that, you start running the ads and have like 5 different audiences and just test which one is getting the best interaction. Yeah,
what we did for that more recently with an artist is we did a promo video which said for fans of and had the artist name. And before running the ad, we checked what kind of similar audiences were. I think this was for Soak, Fickle Friends, all of that kind of thing. And we checked what the similar audiences were, and we also checked which artists on there we'd be able to pull the audience from, because some artists you can't do that for because they don't have a big enough following on Facebook. And then you create the content around that. So say, for example, you said like Drake fans were fans of the Lakers as well. You could create content for that Drake audience and then funnel it down a little bit further to like Lakers stuff. Like there's so much more you could do with it. And it also means you could create content specifically to all of those niches, which I think is a great idea. And it means you spend less money as well because it's more niche rather than going, oh, I want everyone that likes hip hop in general, because it ends up being so expensive. It was brilliant what you said on a video, Alex, a couple days ago that I saw about if a fan likes if your people like football, put your music to 15 seconds of football, and then you're bringing
crazy,
up.
It's what you're talking about, and putting out content.
I'm so shocked that like it took me so long to work that one out, and also nobody else is doing that, and it just works so incredibly well. And I got that idea by when we're doing an influencer marketing campaign. One of the influencers was like, cool, I'll put the music to this video because my audience will love it. And it gave me 2 ideas from that. One, create the content and send it to the influencers to post, and it's really easy and it's free and you get free influencer marketing. And then secondly, it came up with that idea of like, why we're not doing that. And I think what holds artists back is they want the ego of their face and their brand in front of it. But if you're patient, build the audience first and then retarget with your face and your brand, then you can do it. It's strange that they want their name out there so much, but when they get radio play or TV sync, they don't care because you get the bragging rights of it. But I think an influencer is a lot more bragging rights in like 2019 because an influencer's audience is direct and the engagement is so much higher. And we also did it with a load of dancing accounts. We went out to a series of dance accounts that had
up to 1 million followers. We basically got a track and we put it over someone dancing, and it fitted so perfectly. Your editing skills were on point. And then they posted it across all of their stories, and then on the final clip, because it was over about 3 different story frames, the final one had a swipe up. So you kind of watch the whole thing wanting to see the whole dance routine, and then you look to the end, which is so much better than an influencer literally taking a selfie and putting a Spotify widget sticker thing on it. I just think it looks really lame. But I think that one's a really good idea. And I'd like to see artists try it a bit more, because I haven't seen anyone do it, especially as an ad campaign. It's like a top funnel thing. I think it could be really cool.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I love it. Cool. What is obvious to you that is revelatory to artists? What's obvious to you that's amazing to other people? Or maybe, how would I ask that in a different way? What are the obvious things that artists aren't doing?
I think the video that you put up the other day is so obvious to. There are some things that we basically we film on the weekends or the evenings, and sometimes it'll get to the weekend and we'll be like, I have no idea what to film, and then I'll get a DM from someone being like, I don't know how to do this, and I'm like, oh my god, we could do a video. So for example, Alex shot a video, and I think it went live on our YouTube a couple of days ago, and it's titled "How to Spy on Other Artists' Marketing Strategies." And all you have to do is go onto an artist's Facebook page, and you can view what ads they're running. And for us, we do that like every day. We do it quite often with brands as well. And if I see an ad on my feed, I'll quite often go to that profile, look at what ads they're running to work out basically why I was targeted. And we do that like daily.
Yeah.
And we didn't even think that was that interesting. But it's got really good views. People are saying it's really helpful.
Yeah.
For those of you that haven't watched the video, go check it out on YouTube. But if not, you can basically just go to someone's Facebook page, see what ads they're running, and if they're a similar artist to yourself, you could basically copy their strategy for it, but with your own content. I think that's a pretty good one. Have you got any others?
Yeah, and for me, it's like, get the true opinion of people on your music. I'm really hot on that one. I find that a lot of artists I'm really hot on like anonymous voting and just allowing people to tell you what they really think of your music. And because a lot of artists, they put it on Spotify and it doesn't fly, and I think sometimes you're too close to the art. But really get true opinions on your music, and also keep releasing. How many people do we speak to in DMs and things, and they're like, I haven't released yet, I'm not ready yet. Get it out. Just like our first videos when we created content, just get it out, and then the next one is better, and the next one is better. If you're a true artist and truly good musician, you can be writing and creating good music all of the time. So just get your music out as singles constantly. I
also think a lot of artists don't know about submitting prior to release to your distributor. A lot of artists will message us and be like, so I have loads of tracks out on Spotify, where's the Spotify submission form? I can't find it. And you can't do that after release, you have to do it prior. So submit to a distributor about 4 weeks prior to release, get access to your Spotify for artists, and then you can do the submission form. We get so many DMs asking us about that one. And I think it's really simple, and we've had a lot of artists that have had success with it because they did their pitch well. Could change your career, basically.
What's more important in you guys' opinion, streams or press coverage? Maybe another way to ask this is, should I spend more time trying to get blogs to cover my releases, or more time trying to get on curated playlists? What's more valuable, or is one more valuable than the other?
Yeah, I would say streams, purely because the press coverage isn't going to get you any streams or fans. So for example, we saw an artist came to us wanting to get playlist promotion a couple of years ago, and they were premiered on Enemy, and the video was premiered on there, and the video got 400 views. And obviously not all of those views would have come from Enemy anyway. So the press isn't going to get you immediate engagement. We always say press acts as credibility. So for example, if we're writing a pitch to Spotify and we can include that it's premiered here, it's been played on this radio station, they've been interviewed by X, Y, and Z, it does seem more credible. But that is all it's really acting as. It's acting as a springboard. It's something you can put on your CV. It's something that you can put on your EPK. But the streams are actual listeners. But what you do need to be careful of is streams don't always mean fans. Sometimes people are fans of a playlist. So there are playlists that I follow, but I wouldn't go and save the tracks on it. Like New Music Friday, I stream it every single Friday, but I probably only save one track on it a week, if that. So focus more on the organic streams, so getting lower streams on genre-specific playlists, but that will trigger the Discover Weekly plays because those are the ones that are gold for you, and will actually mean that those streams translate into the fans. That's how I'll probably answer that question.
That's very good. What would your ideal team look like? I.e., how many people and what would their roles be? And this is a question kind of based off of, should I be a recording artist or should I have a band where we have equal splits? The recording artist would hire guns for hire. That's typically how I understand it. And then the band would have equal splits and equal percentages and things like that. But what would be more beneficial to, I guess, for, is it more beneficial to hire guns or to have people on your team? The reason I'm asking is you guys talk about developing a team and things like that, and there's different, you can't do it all as a single artist, so you're either going to have to hire people or have team members. So what does the ideal team look like to you, the ideal scenario?
The team, if you put together, is permanent. Like once you sign a deal with them, you're stuck with it, and it's long term now. People you hire in, you can get a feel first for whether it's fitting and whether they are right for the role, and you need someone in that role. And you, again, when you've kind of given a permanent deal, you can't get rid of them if it's not a right fit. It's difficult for me to answer that question in terms of a musician or producer standpoint, because I haven't been through that, more marketing, but that is my experience from employing.
The only thing that I would recommend probably for like a solo artist is having people that are in your team but not permanently for like live performance. So I know a lot of recording artists that will have a semi-permanent team but just for live stuff, so they'll always have them on call when they've got gigs, when they've got sessions booked, when they've got kind of radio sessions booked, but besides that, and besides them playing the music, that's it. You are a solo artist, and I think that works quite well because you're the one that's putting in all the effort and time. Besides that, I do think a lot of artists can do majority of it themselves. Obviously the music is going to be the priority, but besides that, you can spend your evenings working on the marketing and creating the content. But I think because a lot of artists put so much pressure on the music itself, they expect it to blow up because it's so good. But it doesn't work like that anymore. There's just so much music out there that you have to spend just as much time marketing it. And if you don't have the time, then do perhaps outsource it. But I think because it is quite expensive, I would recommend doing it all yourself, and then the team can literally consist of the other musicians that play live, potentially videographers and photographers. I think they're definitely worth the money.
So Ben, what's your setup look like? Do you outsource? Do you have your own guys in a permanent team? What's your experience been there?
Yeah, so I've done both. I've had the band thing, that's what it started off with equal splits, and then I moved a couple years ago to just restructuring because things weren't working, and now I'm more or less hiring things out. I have a full-time producer, and that's the only other team member right now, and then I'm looking at bringing on a videographer who does everything from shooting to editing, the whole scope of videography for a percentage. Those would be my two permanents right now. Other than that, I have a brother manager. So he's on for a percentage as well. I'm just I'm weighing that, and how much. I guess you're constantly weighing those things. How much can you give up? How much do you give up to go up? And when do you trust people, and all of those things, contracts, and it's complicated.
Amazing how many people, when you mentioned videographers, are looking for exposure and experience as well. Like obviously the people who do the contracts and things like that, they've got the experience, but videographers and photographers and things like that, even social media managers, they're all looking for something to do. There's all people out there like applying for jobs with no experience, looking to jump on board. And artists just don't think about reaching out and just putting something out there saying, I need help. Do you want to do it for free or do you want to do it for a cut? And people do jump on board with things.
Definitely, that's how we started.
Yeah, it's true.
A few years ago when we first wanted to basically start the agency, we went in super, super cheap. And if we really, really liked the artist and we thought they could blow up, we did it for free. And that's how you have to do it to sort of build your portfolio and prove that your people should take interest in you. And I think everyone in the industry, no matter what industry, really wants to do that. They want to get their name out there. And if you're offering them either the content, the time, the music, they're probably going to give it a shot.
Yeah.
It's just time for them. And a lot of those kind of people have the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. It's good.
Cool.
What do you look for to gauge whether or not you guys want to work with an artist or band? And reason I'm asking is I've been in the industry for 10 years. I'm not Mr. Rockstar or anything, but there's more people coming to Ben because of some of the smaller successes we've had in selling out shows and doing things locally. But how do you gauge who you want to work with? And what are some of the key questions you're asking? I hope this is relevant to the conversation.
No, it is relevant. Yeah,
definitely. Where
it's a very
I'm
hot
actually
topic for
mentoring
us.
and coaching other people as well, which is kind of another. I'm just folding in more things that I do with my music.
Yeah.
So I'm going. How do you figure out who you want to work with? What are maybe some warning signs? That, maybe that would be a better way to approach it.
Yeah, that's such a hot topic at the moment. We were talking about this yesterday, how it's changed. When we first started the company, we were like,
oh my God, someone wants to work with us.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a bad client. Like obviously there's such thing as bad music, but besides that, there's no such thing as a bad client. Now, we know what our perfect client is.
Yeah, and it starts with genre.
Yeah.
It starts with genre. The genre has to be right for us. And we played in the office, and if no one really picks up with it, no one vibes with it, then that has to stop there, because that means that you're not going to be passionate about it mid-campaign when things aren't going well and you listen to the track and you're not like motivated by it to push it out, then it's wrong. So it does start with genre.
Then kind of the expectations of it as well, because you can tell a lot from what people say to you. So for example, if someone came to us and immediately said, I need 1 million views guaranteed, I need X amount of streams, the way they talk to you sort of shows whether they're going to treat it as like a project together and develop, or they're literally like, I pay you, you provide a service, you get me this. We don't work with people like that because we want to build relationships with people and we want to develop with them, we want to grow them over a period of time. And we also have realistic expectations. We've been in this industry long enough to know how it works. The amount of artists that do blow up after one release is so small. So we do try to avoid people like that as well.
We look at their streams because surprisingly, if you've got a lot of streams, and because I'm sure you know this, Ben, when you go on the Spotify for artists, you can look at other artists' graphs without being on without being added to their profile. So we look, and if there's like a spike and it goes up and back down, we know they've bought streams. And we find that artists are very difficult because say they've bought 500,000 streams that literally hit in a day, went straight back down to zero. They kind of expect us to beat that because they got 500,000 streams, and we're like, how can you not beat that? I got 500,000 streams and you got me 20,000 streams. Like, you're a load of shit. And we literally we look at knowing where they're at and knowing that they're willing to do things organically and not cut corners and work with us is very important.
And then the final one is usually their social media. Sometimes we will look at an artist and they've basically got nothing and they literally want to start from square one with us, which is fine. But the best thing for us is when we find an artist that's already trying themselves and you can see they're putting in time and effort and their personalities are coming across.
Personality is a big one.
There are some artists we've worked with for like the full duration of a year, and we've just enjoyed working with them so much because everything we throw at them, they're like, we'll give it a go. And you wouldn't actually understand how many people don't. They hire us and we give an example of something to do and they're like, don't really want to give that a go. And we know it's the best possible thing for them. We wouldn't suggest it otherwise. But I think it's the same for everyone in the industry, whether you're an artist and you get approached by someone else, or you're a producer and you want to find someone else to work with. look at all those things. Like look at what they're expecting, look at what they're doing on social media, look at their streams if it's another artist. And you'll be able to tell a lot from them. We can tell a lot from an artist's social media, the way they speak in the caption, the way they reply to the other comments, what they're posting basically. It says a lot about an artist, I think, especially when you're trying to collaborate with someone else, or even if you're trying to network, you can tell who the real people are in the industry.
Yeah.
Very good. What does success look like to you guys? Recording artist success.
For an artist, fans. I think measure everything in fans. And I almost said earlier, I was like, streams for show, fans for dough, because like it's literally like...
That's so painful.
It's so bad, isn't it?
We should get that on a t-shirt.
That's great. Put it on a t-shirt.
But like streams can be everything, because it came from when you were like, streams don't equal fans, and I was like, yeah, that's so true, because the fans should be everything in your measure of success. If no one shows up to your gig, and why I thought of that as well was like, so many people come to us asking for hacks. Like I think they generally go on our website and our YouTube channel expecting hacks, and we use the word hack a lot, but really that's just because we like the word. It really means tip. We're giving tips away to help do things organically, I think it's so important to measure things in fans, and how many people are showing up to your gig, how many people are DMing you, wanting to interact with you, how many people, when you put up a post, are excited that you've got a new post out, are excited you've got a new track out, instead of just hacking the numbers. Yeah,
like we only have 10K followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
And we look at other people's accounts that have 10 times more than us, they get a lot less engagement.
Yeah.
And I think the main thing should always be the engagement, because the engagement proves you have fans.
Yeah.
Because there are so many artists that have millions and millions and millions of streams, and then you go across to their Instagram, they've got 500 followers and no one really cares. And at the end of the day, as an artist, you can't live your whole life just expecting to get streams. Surely you want to go on tour. Surely you want to sell merch. Surely you want to actually meet these people that are listening to your music. And I think often when there is the occasion, when there's millions of streams and there's hardly any followers, they're going to be fake.
Yeah.
Because if you've got millions of streams, there's going to be at least a few thousand that have trickled onto your
I think
social
this
media.
ability to fake your numbers on social media is actually causing artists like literally mental health problems.
Yeah, no,
because
I agree.
they feel so inadequate compared to these other people who have 1 million streams, like 100,000 followers on Instagram, and because of that they're starting to make, like, they don't understand that 500 followers is 500 real people that you could literally DM every single day, keep a conversation going for a year, and after that year be like, by the way, do you want to come to my gig? We've been speaking for a year, and you pack out that gig compared to someone else with 100,000 followers that are fake and can't sell a single ticket. Then that is how I would measure things, and just understand that that is going on in the industry.
I also think a lot of artists start to believe it. They will pay for streams and they'll pay for followers.
Like that,
and then they get to a point where they're like, I'm actually really famous now. And it's really strange that it happens, because they purchase it themselves. They pay it. It's quite expensive. They'll pay for it.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, they're in our comments being like, well, I've got more followers than you, so what are you talking about? And then we'll look at it and we're like, you got no comments. So you literally got no comments on your last 10 posts and you have 500,000 followers.
Yeah.
It's a weird industry, and it's weird that artists think they can hack it like that.
Yeah.
But you can so easily judge it. You can so easily see it. And I think it will get to a point where Spotify pulls all those fake streams off.
Yeah.
Instagram will fully get rid of all of those bots.
They're getting better now.
They are. They don't even let you like run bots through your account now. It's getting a lot more strict. So the truth will come out pretty soon, I think.
Yeah.
That was going to be my next question. Do you think streams will people start getting found out?
I think so.
Fake things.
Spotify are constantly paying out on these streams. I do think they're lagging a little bit behind in terms of YouTube. YouTube's done it. They've done it very clever, and they just shadow ban you, and so do Instagram. So you think that you're getting engagement. You think you've got the followers. But if you buy 500,000 views on YouTube, your video will not show up in suggested. It won't show up on people's homepages. And the real ones will.
Yeah.
And Spotify can't really do that, but that's how they should do it. Unfortunately, I have seen artists buy views, and sometimes it just buy streams, and sometimes it works, but eventually that's going to get plugged.
Yeah, I do find that really frustrating because the majority of the time it does kind of ruin it because you're on wrong playlist. It doesn't get you going. It doesn't get you on the right on the right algorithmic playlist. There have been occasions that we've seen artists on editorial playlists, like some huge ones, and we look at their about section, we'll look at their Spotify for artists, and it's very clear they've bought them. They've bought streams and they've bought to be on fake playlists, which is insane to think that the algorithm pushed them out like that, but it's how it works. If Spotify's seeing streams come through, I don't think that algorithm's intelligent enough to tell. Which probably saying this on this podcast now means the majority of our followers are going to go put themselves on fake playlists. But what I think is going to happen, because it's interesting you said about Ari Hurst at the beginning of this. He did a whole blog post on Digital Music News, saying that he used a third-party playlist plugger person.
Yeah.
And they
Playlist Push?
Playlists.
Was it Playlist Push or whatever?
Yeah, who apparently have completely changed now. I'm not sure. We've never really worked with them, but he used them years ago, and he ended up getting his whole album pulled off Spotify because it got so many fake streams. But then he rewrote the article, I think it was last year, saying that he reused them and he re-reviewed it and said they were amazing. So they obviously have changed.
Yeah, and also I looked at Playlist Push's model, and it's like SubmitHub. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's very legit.
And I don't know the ins and outs of this, but he can't control what the other playlists do. So if like a playlist runs fake streams through their own playlist,
it's out
and
of
then
his
goes
control.
onto his platform to promote that playlist, then it's out of his control. So I believe that Playlist Push are in it for the right reasons.
Yeah. He seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, I've seen him on social media and stuff. And so we still do recommend artists sometimes if they just want streams to go to Playlist Push, because their model should work in the industry. It's just whether the playlists themselves are vetted and organic.
Yeah, what I think might happen, I have two guesses. Either the follower count on user-curated playlists will be blocked so you can't see it. So people won't be able to email massive playlists because they don't know which ones have got the followers and get streams because you can't prove it.
I think Apple Music does it like that.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Or I think they'll literally just pull user-curated playlists. Like, you can't share them with other people. You basically have your own and that's it. I don't know which one it will be, and I don't know if they care enough to do that.
Yeah.
But I think that could maybe be something in the next few years. And I think a lot of artists will freak out when that happens.
Yeah.
Because it's their main source of streams and attention. So, but we'll see. I don't know.
Very cool. Well, that was kind of my last question. I have one more marketing question, but again, well, I've got you guys.
Yeah.
So it has to do kind of more with marketing. So say you're marketing for 30 different artists, Burstimo.
Yeah.
How do you send out, you said, Maddie, I think we interacted a couple weeks ago when you said that you send out individual emails to blogs or playlists or whoever you're trying to get the attention of. How do you do that with 30 artists?
Well,
do you use one email address? Like, how do you come across? Do you come up, because I don't want to come across like I'm spamming people.
Yeah, no, I
when I'm
completely
sending
get
out press releases and things like that.
Yeah, well,
does that make sense?
We never have a roster that big, for sure, because I know agencies that do, and they basically will literally send an email to a journalist and be like, "Oh, I've attached 4 press releases. Let me know your thoughts."
Yeah.
And it's just like rude, disrespectful. It's their time you're taking. So we would never have a roster that big, so it wouldn't really be the issue of like, "Oh, I've got to send out this artist." What we do find is if an artist falls in the same genre, we'll go out to a blog. If they decline it, we'll say, "Oh, you might like this artist." If they confirm it, we'll be like, "Cool, you might also like this artist." So it does work quite well, because if artists do fall within the same genre, you can sort of piggyback it along it. Especially if you go in with the artist that you know you're like 98% sure that it's going to get confirmed, because then you can just jump in with the next one. But yeah, I do think a lot of agencies probably struggle with this because they have huge rosters, especially agencies that specialize in one genre.
Yeah.
Like, I know a lot of agencies that do just pure straight up rock, which must be really hard, because how do you spread your roster across all your contacts? I don't know. But with playlists, it's a lot easier, because all you're asking for is them to stream about 10 seconds of it to consider it.
Yeah.
So I think it is probably all right to be like, check out these songs, let me know which ones you like. Whereas with blogs, you're giving them a full press release, they have to dedicate quite a bit of time to writing something, so I probably wouldn't send multiple things all at once.
Cool.
I'd say.
Great. Awesome.
Cool.
Those are my questions. I mean, I could talk with you guys all day, but
no, thank you.
Thank you so much. You
guys
are my
thank
heroes.
you.
Thank you.
And thanks very much for all of your questions, and I really appreciate you being the first one to be on this show. And also, and if you want to know more about Ben as well, we'll link his Instagram and his Spotify down in the description as well, so you can check him out. And if you're not subscribed to us already, subscribe. And if you found this useful, give it a like, and we'll see you in the next one.